My topic is Baloch National Identity, a Historical Survey. So I'm not going to deal with contemporary period because many colleagues, friends, they are talking about it. And so therefore I'm going to talk from early Baloch history till 1948 with Pakistani occupation of Balochistan. A vast literature exists in the humanities and social sciences on various categories of identity. Therefore, I am not going to touch theoretical aspects. There is an agreement among scholars of different fields that the concept of national identity is linked to several factors such as common history, common geography, common language, literature, common belief system, common traditions, and a common legal system. A crisis of identity exists when one or more of these bases are threatened or challenged. Why the study of national identity is important to us? Because the very idea of identity refers to a continuity between past and present. One essential lesson regarding national identity is that we cannot know who we are unless we know who we were. Western archaeologists and linguists trace the origin of the Baloch people either in the kingdom of Babylon or in the region of Caspian Sea in northern Iran, whereas the Baloch traditions and classical poetry are silent about it. Nevertheless, the founding father of the Baloch national organization, such as Anjuman-e-Ittihad Baloch wa Balochistan, so this organization was founded in 1929, and then later on it was replaced by Kalat State National Party. So those are two important organizations we should keep in mind. Especially the young people. Anjuman-e-Ittihad Baloch wa Balochistan from 1929 till 36. And another one is Kalat State National Party from 37 till 1948. The founding father of the Baloch national organizations exploited the archaeological exploration in favor of Baloch national cause. The manifesto and the programs claimed that the Baloch had a glorious past and they are descendant of the first great human civilizations. This dim memory of the past, real or fictitious, helped Baloch intelligentsia to create a national awareness and pride among the Baloch people. Another point of view is the origin of the Baloch is based on the writing of the Western linguist, that the original homeland of the Baloch was situated near the Caspian Sea area. Iranian oral historical tradition recorded by the Persian poet of the Ghaznavite court Firdausi shed light on the contribution of Baloch people in the political and the military history of the Central Asia and the Middle East. The Shahnama of Firdausi provides us information about the relation between the Persians and the Baloch, as well as crimes committed by the Persian rulers, such as Noshirwan and his father, against the Baloch people. The author of the Shahnameh failed to mention real factors behind the Perso-Baloch armed conflicts. It is most likely that the real cause of the conflict had been ideological as well as economic interest. However, the Baloch were able to survive the suppression of the Iranians. When a people with a common memory of the past historical events and achievements of victories won and struggled waged, they tend to regard themselves as one nation. Thus, the common historical experience of the past gives birth to national identity. The Babylonian civilization, the first Baloch confederacy headed by Mir Jalal Khan in the 14th century, kingdom of Maleks, and the Boledi in Makran, and the Dodai state in eastern Balochistan, including present-day Derajat and the Khanate of Balochistan, are regarded as the most important periods of the Baloch national history. So here I will briefly give you a detailed account. I mean, the first confederacy was founded approximately end of the 13th and the beginning of the 14th century. And this was the area of what is Iranian Balochistan. But this confederacy did not survive because of its nomadic character. But later on we see from the beginning of the 15th century onwards, Baloch history is more clear. So we see the Malek identity is not clear in the history, but it is believed that they were Hoths, and their successors were Boledis. Part of the Kirman province. So many historians, they have said that their political system was based on sham federalism. So various tribes were represented in this federation. At the same time, there was another federation was founded in eastern Balochistan, that is called Dodai Federation. Dodai was actually from Makran. They invaded the Port Suleiman area, occupied it, and they ruled from 15th century until 1797. So we have much information about the Eastern Dodai Confederation, where the institution was formed. That was the Baloch feudal state. So the Mughal historian, for example, one historian is a Hindu, contemporary of Aurangzeb of India. His book is called Khulasatul Tawarikh, and his name is Sujan Rai Vitali. So he mentions in his book that the Dodai, they have the 80,000 soldiers and the 40,000 horsemen. They are on their disposal. And he further writes about them that there is no sign of any robbery in the country. So there is a prosperity in that region. So the last book written about is Qazi Nama, which is published by the Balochi Academy not long ago. And the Qazi Nama was written during the time of Nasir Khan Noori. So he gives also a lot of information about the Dodais, that Dodai participated in Panipat war against the Sikhs, So in another word, the Dudai were defending the eastern frontier of Balochistan. So that was the second phase of the second feudal state of Balochistan. I am mentioning those are very important for us, because normally institutions are important for the modern awakening, that what is contribution in history, so what is Baloch contribution? Are we a nation of nomads or simply tribesmen? So it is not so, So our recorded history is very rich, whether it's in the Makranate, ruled by Malik dynasty, or the Buletis, or the Dudai in the east. And in the central Balochistan, there was also a myriad of Kalat. But it was a small confederacy until it was developed in beginning of the 18th century by Abdullah Khan Kahar and his son Nasir Khan Nuri. And since then, that state is known Khanate of Balochistan. Before that, it is called Mirate of Balochistan. But it was a small, Mirate was a small. Khanate was expanded and it embraced the Makranate area as well as the Dudai region. So that was beginning of the 18th century that Baloch entered in third stage, and the Khanate of Balochistan was semi-feudal, semi-tribe. So Nasir Khan Nuri, who is one of the most important ruler in the Baloch history, he gave institutions, he gave constitution. He provided a political system. So what we say, so Khan is a feudal in certain areas. He is a prince, he is a lord, where he has the control of lands, he collects the revenue. And in the tribal area, he is chief among the equals. So tribal provinces, they had certain autonomy. So Balochistan constitution, Balochistan's political system is based on sham federalism. So there is a very clear division of power. So in the tribal area, the things are run by jirgas, by majlis. In the feudal areas, Khan is absolute. But Khan still is dependent on the religious elite too, not only these secular elite, but also religious elite. So in that way, we see a constitution of Balochistan, which is quite interesting, and unique. So then we come to the foreign policy of the Balochistan, which is also very crucial for us to know. So what has been our forefathers' role? What was our relation with the Persians, with Afghans, with Sindhis, with Mughal India? So here we find again Baloch helping the other nations also. Baloch power was able to help, particularly South Asian Muslims. So Ahmad Shah Abdali waged several wars against the Sikh and Hindu power. So he invited also the Baloch to come and to help the Indian Muslims or South Asian Muslims. So we see Baloch army joined, there are documentary sources, not only the Baloch, but also the Mughal sources, Sikh sources, and the Afghan sources. Most of them, they were written in the same era. So that's also a very important our contribution, Baloch nation's contribution in the history of it. So the Baloch, they had a vision of a foreign policy. And throughout century, the Baloch relation with the Arabs were often they were cordial. Only we had more conflict with the Persians. Whether it's the Ghaznavite period, whether it's the Babiyas period, Dalimis, also known Dalimis. So, or even already I mentioned with the Naushar ones, we had a conflict. So when you look the Baloch histories and its institution, I mean, my emphasis is on the institutions, because wars and the events, they are important, but not so much. Institutions are more important than what is your contribution to the history. So in that respect, when we look to our Baloch history, we see a great contribution. So I'm not going to discuss Baloch cultural or literary contribution. Other colleagues, friends, they are going to talk about it. So that's the very important, and this development was interrupted with foreign intervention, and that was the British colonialism. British, they never regarded Balochistan as part of Indian subcontinent, and so